Hello, good morning. Welcome to BCL Beyond the Boundary again with myself, Simon Booth. The first morning session we've had. Made an exception for Mr. Taylor today. But I'm very happy to have Ian Taylor, or AKA Taddy, whatever you know him as one of our Bolton League legends. Morning, Taddy.
Good morning. I've got the white Guinness here.
I've got a coffee with me this time instead of a Corona, so slightly different. But no. Morning, pal. Thanks for taking a bit of time out to speak to us. And obviously, as these interviews roll on and more people, sort of understand the format and how we go on. So, what I want to do first of all is sort of introduce yourself. Really, there'll be people watching this who will know you very, very well, and there'll be people who probably don't know you so as well. So, I sort of want you to introduce yourself, Taddy. A bit about your career, clubs that you've played, and what you're doing with yourself these days.
Okay, yeah. Well, obviously it's Ian Taylor. Nickname's Taddy. Most people know me by Taddy. I sort of started my career, if you like, in Edgerton, and then I went on in 1988 to pro for Clifton in the Bolton Association. I had 2 years with Clifton, great club, great tradition for bringing young children on in terms of cricket and the social side of it there. And then I came back into the Bolton League, went to Farnworth. You know that Boothie.
Yeah.
It's in the folklore there, isn't it? That season I had there, but yeah, I enjoyed it there. Some good lads. From there, I went to Tong. Back to Edgerton and then Little Lever, but it started at Edgerton. That's where it all started. And I don't know whether people know this, but I actually started at Astley Bridge. I lived in Astley Bridge. I was under 14. I went under 14s then. I went to Astley Bridge, couldn't get in the team. Mel Dawson, a friend of mine, said, well, come up to Edgerton. They haven't got 11 players. So I went up to Edgerton and I won the bowling and batting prize in the under 14. So it started me off there, if you like. But it's been amazing, really, because if you think of your first club, in many ways it provides, they're important parts of the community. It lets people to come in and mix with other people and grow up, if you like. So it's important. And Edgerton, in that respect, was important for me. But I met so many people there, can't mention them all, but, I became really good friends with, Roy and Keith Hornby, and Brian Fairclough was brilliant to me as a junior. And maybe not a lot of people know this, but David Walworth was very instrumental in me becoming the player I did at local level, so I have all those people to thank, really. In terms of getting established as a young bowler, it's not that easy. I was playing football in the Bolton Premiership combination, and I had to finish seasons off, and I was coming back, and it was only when I was 25 I got my first 5 wickets in Bolton League cricket, and I really, from there, I sort of cracked the nut, if you like. And I got confident, and then the next 20 years I did really well, obviously. Yeah. But I was captain twice at Edgerton. But yeah, it was a really good time for me. The other club, obviously, as people know me for, is Tong.
Yeah.
Tong was unbelievable, as you know. We won 4 championships on the trot. We won 5 championships in 6 years or something like that. And it was all around Ray Eck and of course Frank Baldwin at the helm. But it was tremendous. We won a Lancashire knockout final in that period as well, and the Hamer Cup. It was an unbelievable time for me. Enjoyed it both on and off the field. It was great. So
it was a phenomenal team they put together at Tong. I mean, you look at some of the players who played in that side, and obviously they've gone on and scored loads of runs and took loads of wickets. But Ray must have been such a sweet talker to get all them people to play in one side.
Yeah, well, he always looked like Bruce Forsyth, didn't he? Ray. But he was full of enthusiasm, and the gel worked, the mixture worked, and of course we had Iqbal Sakanda, which he was fantastic, in terms of a ball and a person. He was a really nice person as well, With Roy Marland, who your dad knew, and I often got them mixed up in the younger years because they were similar sort of cricketers, both batted and bowled. But Roy he's a lovely bloke, Roy. He was, he was fantastic with the club, fantastic with me. He was always trying to encouraging you, what you're doing with the ball, what you're doing, do this, do that. So he was a good man, was Roy.
I loved his cricket because obviously Warwick strong-armed him over to Heaton, not long ago, and just even chatting to him, I didn't sort of play under him. I was back at Falmouth by then, but even chatting to him about cricket, he just filled you full of confidence. Such a lovely bloke.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And I think that was, I was charging in, as you know, in my 40s. Full of enthusiasm, and I said to Ray one day, I said, Ray, when will all this end? When will I stop being able to run in? Because it didn't seem it was in my channel at the moment. And Ray said these great words, I think. He says, you'll know when it's time to finish. And of course he was proved right, in terms of when I went to Little Lever, the engine stopped, and of course it was the end, of a fantastic time. I think I have to also mention my interleague career as well, because I love the interleague. I'm a Bolton lad, Bolton Wanderers supporter. So to represent Bolton League, for me, my hairs are standing up on my arms now.
Yeah.
That's how much it meant to me. And I have Mopsy to thank for this, really, because Mopsy provided me with a plaque at the end at the league dinner. And I wouldn't have known this, but for somebody, and it's a lesson for us all, really. When somebody's finishing, it's to do something small, but which is quite nice, if you know what I mean. And he produced a plaque, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I played for the Interleague from '87 to 2004, which is 21 seasons. I know the Lancashire Knockout, the Interleague's not there anymore, is it?
No, not
as a competition.
I think there's a few people trying to resurrect it. To be fair, it has been mentioned about resurrecting it, and I think it would be great.
Yeah, well, it was also on there. I'd played 39 matches. I played in 8 finals, both Manchester Evening News, and I played in about 6 Trinity Cups, and it was really nice gesture, And in that time, I took 70 wickets at for 1,000 runs, I think it was, something like that. But both 300 overs. But let me just say this. I mean, we talk about Bolton cricket and what it means to everybody. When that team went to Northern League, we were a team. They were the Bolton lads, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. We on the field, off the field, we were like gelled together, stuck together with glue. And I think that's one of those reminders of what Bolton cricket's about. So it all came to an end. I enjoyed every moment on and off the field. Fantastic.
Do you know how many wickets you finished with? Because I've got a stat in front of me. I'm just checking it's right. But just interesting that the 3 sort of legends, as it were, that I've spoken to so far are our top 3 bowlers. So obviously I've spoken to David White, Chalky, who finished with 1,304. I spoke to Stewie, obviously, who finished up with 1,603. And I've got yourself. So do you know where you finished up?
Well, I was a bit of a stats man when I was playing, because you have to internally motivate yourself, So I recommend that to any young bowler, is to understand your stats, how you game people out, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it was about whatever it is on the Bolton League Stadium.
Well, Ray Taylor's sent me this. 1,463.
Yeah.
So does that sound about right?
Yeah, I've not counted them, but yeah, whatever that figure is, it doesn't matter. I had a few wickets over a couple of seasons at Clifton,
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it doesn't matter that really. What it matters is that how much you enjoy it and what you got out from Bolton cricket, So that's undeniable, So it's fantastic.
Anyone who's got 1,000 wickets in the Bolton League and over, it obviously knew exactly what they were doing. And there's, you look at them players, and it's you can't magic that out of thin air. You've got to work hard, and it's you know, you look at the people who's got them sort of wickets, and I've just mentioned them 3 players, and I would say they're very, very similar in terms of how they approach the game. You know, I hope you don't mind me saying, quite aggressive. You know, play the game hard, but also very, very fair. You know, and me as a young lad playing against people like yourself and Stewie and Chalky, I didn't understand that until I got a little bit older. You know, I thought, why is he snarling at me? Why is he giving me a load of jip? I thought he was a nice bloke. And then you get off the field, put an arm around you, you have a pint, have a chat, and it's like polar opposites.
Yeah, if I could just keep it simple and add some value for young bowlers at the end of the day. I mean, my game was quite simple. Surprisingly, you might find that surprising, but you know, I ran in, I used the crease. You know, I could get close to the wickets and use my fingers to get it across the seam and go away from the right-hander, or I could get to the edge of the crease, a bit like Stewie does, and angle it into the batsman. Yeah. I'd have a short ball, which obviously I use from time to time, and ultimately I didn't have a slow ball. I don't think you remember me bowling a slow ball at you. No. So I mean, but I had what I felt was a quicker ball, you know. So I think it was pretty steady. It was most of my wickets were LBW and bowled. Yeah, tells a story. I bowled straight.
Ball very straight. Yeah.
So you know, them are simple lessons really for any young bowler. But yeah, I enjoyed every minute of it in terms of that career.
Brilliant. Obviously, with all these interviews, what I've sort of done with slightly different with the legends, because most of them are not involved at clubs anymore and whatever. So I wanted to sort of chat about some of the players that you sort of played with and against, and see if there's any themes running through. And essentially, what I want to do is prompt you best players you've played with or against, and let's start with batters.
Well, you've got to set the scene a little bit here in terms of like the era and everything. But although I played in that era, I think Bolton cricket, even players playing today, should think, you know, that's a part of our history, you know, and this is why it's so important to keep Bolton cricket going. But, you know, I was so lucky to be, if you like, brought up in that particular era. But I'll just give you a little taster. I can't tell you them all, but I'll just give you a little list, which I've wrote down because I can't remember them all. But Sonny Rabidin, Collis King, Mark and Steve Waugh, Jeff Marsh, Franklin Stevenson, Mudassar Naza, Salim Malik, Dilip Bensarkar, Farooq Engineer, Madam Lal, Mahinda Amarnath, Dilip Doshi, Mahinda Singh, and Mark Taylor. That's just a few. Now it's a world 11 almost.
Yeah, phenomenal.
And I was just somebody like you who went to Wine Lodge on a Friday night, then Hawthorns, got a few beers down there, got up next day and had to bowl at these people, you know. But it's a tremendous, you know, I'm so grateful to be in that era, you know. It's a challenge, but it's one that you enjoy, you know. And if you think about the amateurs, I can't mention everybody, but, you know, people who I sort of admired, but when you're looking at who the best are in these areas, but you know, your Dave Morris's, I've mentioned already, your Simon Bestie. I mean, he was for me, he was like the David Gower in amateur cricket. You know, he was so elegant. He didn't rate any bowler. He didn't rate any bowler, I'm telling you now. I never heard him say, he's a good bowler. He was amazing. Steve Woods from earlier time, you know, Woody was a good player, great record. Paul Tebey, you know, I have a lot of connection with Paul, obviously, like as you have.
Yeah.
And two things about Paul. I saw him get one of the best hundreds ever against Keith Eck. Keith Eck were on his day, and Paul beautifully at Astley Bridge got 100. It was one of the best hundreds I've ever seen. And the other thing, what a lot of people might not know about me and Paul, is that when we were at Edgerton, I won the bowling prize, and he won the batting prize.
Right.
And Edgerton were bottom at league.
That's some stat, isn't it?
Yeah, and his dad, Kevin, said that then at the time, he said, that'll never happen again. Put that down. And you can see Kevin saying that, can't you? You can see
that's not going to happen, is it? No chance.
I mean, Kevin was quite a cocky person, weren't he, in a nice way, very encouraging. But that's what he said, that'll never happen again, that. You know, he was off, but brilliant. It was just one of those things we've connected with me and Paul.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant batsman. And you John Smith, Kenny Stevens, the DJ. You won't remember him, but
I know the name. Yeah.
He was a good cricketer, great cricketer. And then you've got Keith Orby, Brian Smithies, who was a great cricketer as well, a fierce competitor and a good captain, I believe. He was a little bit I didn't know him that well, you know what I mean? But Brian, yeah, I met him and talked to him, but he's a good competitor. Aloes, Ian Pilkington, you know, bloody hell. He's like, when you bowled at Pilkey, you could see the maker's name. You know, he was always looking to drive you, but a great cricketer as well. And my mate, Nige Party. And I'll tell you a little quick story about this before I get into that other detail of who the best are. But Nige Partington, he was in our dressing room at Tong. And of course, Bolshy Bowler here said to him, Nigel, you're wasting your time, mate. You will never get 100 because, can I tell you why? Because you get yourself out, you'll flash one over the gully. Yeah, you'll hit one straight and then you'll haul out and you'll be history. Okay, that's you. So I'll streak. I said to him, I'll streak round Tong if you get 100, right? Yeah. You know that year? He did it 4 times. He did it 4 times. And he said, oh yeah, come in dressing room, all cocky. He said, how about, get your clothes off, get streaking. I said, listen, Nigel, I've got your 400s up your kilt.
Yeah.
Motivation. Yeah, exactly. You know, I made him get his head down, basically. But of course, he went on to Black Road. He had a fantastic career at Blackpool, and they loved him there. And he got wickets as well.
People don't realise how many runs Nige scored. You know, I think he was probably in the shadow of a few players when he played in that great side there. But I mean, if you look at his stats, and you know, Nige Party scored he's got a lot of runs, hasn't he?
I repeat, he got wickets at Black Road.
Oh, I'm not having it.
I'm not having it. I just wouldn't have it when he every week I kept looking at paper. 5 for no.
No, I'm not having it.
No,
Must have been somebody else.
Yeah. Anyway,
he's not in your bowlers list, is he?
No one near. But you know, going on to best bowlers and what have you.
Yeah.
I think batters, you've got to look at the stats, and Benison. You know, they're all different types of players, these. I mean, Benison he knew his game. I mean, he scored umpteen runs through the gully. He'd hit you through the mid-wicket. And there weren't a lot else in that game. But he was very thoughtful, accumulator of runs. And you could have 2 gullies in it and get it through.
Yeah.
He was brilliant through there. So to get 19,000 runs is some feat.
Yeah, it is.
So for me, although he weren't the most fearsome to bowl at, you know, he was actually possibly the most consistent batsman there's been in cricket, amateur cricket, you know, in amateur status wise. But you've got to mention Brian Cole. Brian Cole didn't have that many runs, well, as many as Benison, but he played in a time when the runs weren't on the board. Brian Cole, 16,000 runs, unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, to get them when the scores were 150. So,
well, yeah, they didn't score 250s and 300s like they do, you know. And
no,
you've got to look at it in context. And again, you look at the stats that he produced, and uncovered wickets, not as good facilities, probably bats are not as good, and to get that many runs is just unbelievable.
Yeah. So I'm not one for saying he's the best. I like to put a little group on it. But my third one on the batter front was Dave Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, I put him there, sort of slot him in the batters because of his runs he got. But not only that, he was a great fielder.
Yeah.
He was a bloody great bowler in terms of breaking partnerships. He did it umpteen times in the interleague. You know, you bring him on, he'd go for a few runs, but ultimately then he would actually, get that breakthrough what the interleague needed. And it's a shame what's happened there. I know there's some bad things happened in the family, and I really hope they do get it back together. You know, because you can't. You know, I hope they do But Smithy was a brilliant.
Top drawer.
Top drawer. You know, in the bowlers front, I'll come on to the pros, but on the bowlers, amateur fronts, it's no wonder. I don't know how I in particular, I'm older than Stewie, aren't I? But the reason there's not that many bowlers, do you know why?
Breakdown?
Correct. I don't know what kept me together. I think it might have been Guinness. Just glued me together, didn't it? To keep running in and not get injured for all those years. I'm so lucky,
Yeah.
And I look at some of the injured bowlers who are not in the list. Ian Mossy was a good bowler.
I had a couple of good seasons with him when he came back and played at Heaton when I was a youngster. I'd only been 15, and I've said it loads. It's one of the funniest people I've ever come across. Absolutely hilarious. Great man, Mossy.
I know, fantastic. And many a time I saw him in Hawthorns. I won't tell you how I saw him, but I saw him in Hawthorns a few times, and he was top drawer, and a good bowler. And injuries, I think, played a part in his career. I think, I know you pro'd at A&T, I think, possibly. Ashley Tilsley, he did pro in the Bolton Association.
Yeah.
Fozzie, another good bowler, struck bad with injuries.
Yeah.
Came back and did brilliantly well. And again, a top bloke and a top bowler. And then just going back, Mickey Skinner. Remember Mickey Skinner? Do you remember that name? No, you don't know. Mickey played at interleague team, and Mickey was a very, very good bowler. He had a yard on him. Daft as a brush. Me and Mickey, every time we talk, we get on. You know what I mean? We don't see enough each other, but we talk and get on.
Yeah.
Great cricketer. And then Steve Grundy. He won fast bowler in Lancashire or something. Never to be seen again. I don't know what he does now. I think he sells earpieces or something. But he had a lot of good prospects. He had great prospects as a fast bowler.
Yeah.
So when you're naming the bowlers, for me, there's only one, and well, there's more than one, but they're in different categories. But Keith Eck. Keith Eck, you cannot deny the talent of this bloke. And a lot of people said he should have played at certainly a high level. He was quick in his early days, which I didn't see too much of. But his other days, spinning days, was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I believe he went to play one first grade match in Australia and took 7 wickets, which tells you something.
I've heard, well, I'm not going to say a million, but 500,000 stories about Keith Eck, obviously with my old man, and they're very, very similar sort of era in effect. So they played in a similar era, and the amount of stories that my old man had about Keith, and I wasn't lucky enough to see him play, but every man who talks about him says about express pace and just a very, very good bowler.
Yeah, like to turn to leg spin and googlers after that.
Yeah,
it's pretty much talented, isn't he? But I know he played football as well for Bury, I believe. But yeah, a tremendous bowler. But I can't forget my old mucker, can I? Stuart, the stats don't lie. So he managed to keep fit like me, and he kept on bowling and bowling and bowling.
I think the fags kept Stewie together. It wasn't more the fags, I think. But how he carried on running in and at Greenmount for all that time, and just a very fit lad.
Yeah, he was always slim, weren't he?
Still is.
I know, he's unbelievable. I don't know what he eats, but no, we had some great times at interleague level, by the way. Just to show me and Stuart, when we were practicing, we were bowling bouncers at our own players in nets, and we had some great times. We were, of course, bowlers hunting pairs. Yeah. When you get on with your other bowler, it's fantastic. Many times we went to these interleague games, and a lot of other interleagues didn't have 2 opening bowlers. They had the open bowling with spinners on the dry wickets. So me and Stuart coming in, trying our hardest, to try and get that aggression into the game, But fantastic bowler, fantastic person, and I loved every minute bowling with him, And every time I see him, I feel good, He's we had such that great relationship, So, yeah, I mean, all-rounders, there's only one for me. I know we speak to him a lot, but Chalky, I mean, I've said it all on social media. His stats were unbelievable. He's another one who kept bloody slim. It's all right for these two slimmies. I had a bit of podge on me, but Chalky was unbelievable.
I think being a postie, he walks about 20 miles a day, so that probably keeps him nice and trim. But yeah, like you say, he's always been a fit bloke, real tough competitor. Probably one of the first I ever came up against, back when I first started, 1999. One of the first people I come up against and thought, wow, he's super aggressive on the field. And, talking about before about understanding people, and I just didn't understand that at all. Got a bit older, started understanding a bit more about the game, a bit of gamesmanship and a bit of craft.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to play with Chalks at Farnworth. So, yeah, great cricketer, good all-rounder. Probably, you'd probably kill me for saying this. Probably should have won more stuff, because I think it's a stat that people don't realise. I don't think he's won much. But his stats are phenomenal as an individual. Just always sort of either missed out or went to a club at the wrong time, I think.
Yeah, it's funny because I said on social media, didn't I? I said, when you didn't play with him, you hated him. He's all right. Who's that? It was a bit of an edge to him, weren't there?
Yeah.
But when you play with him, like you have and I have, at interleague level, he was brilliant, because he's it's in their faces. He's on your side, and you love him to bits.
You want him on your side, don't
you? Amazing cricketer. Yeah. So that's the amateur sort of. The professionals. Yeah, you saw my list. But I've tried to look at it where they've been in the league for a certain number of years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for me, you look at, Iqbal Sikandar was unbelievable. Obviously,
he's been mentioned a couple of times, because when people have mentioned the bowlers, they've mentioned you and Iqbal at Tong in tandem. No wonder you were so successful, especially with him at one end.
Yeah, it's not one bowler, does it? It's usually two, maybe three sometimes. Yeah. But Iqbal was, he would have perhaps played for England had he been English. I know it sounds daft, but he went to Old Trafford. He went to Old Trafford to bowl at Australia before they come over to get England attuned to Shane Warne. That's how good he was.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better spinner than him in county cricket. Legs that type of bowler, what was he called? Salisbury?
Yeah, I know you mean that. Ian?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we just can't get his second name, can we? Eggy will tell you. But no, I think he was brilliant. And what I saw him bowl when the wickets were hard, he was a joy to watch, because he'd bounce in like a good leg spinner. He'd bounce in and he'd get that bounce onto the wicket as well, which was tremendous to watch. But a nice person, great times. And interestingly enough, that this year his son was coming over to Edgerton. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, his son's coming over to Edgerton to play, and Iqbal was coming over, so we're going to have a bit of a reunion.
Wow. Nice.
Unfortunately, whatever's happened out there is put for the time being, put a stop to it. But,
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah.
Obviously, Naz destructive in his early days. Somebody else mentioned that. Stewie said he got 100 every time against him. Thankfully, I didn't have to bowl at him too many times because he was on my side. But no, he was brilliant, Naz, and really good friends today. Fantastic sort of player, attacking, and he's got some great stats. He got 100 in a game and 8 wickets, I think. His bowling sort of second fiddle, but he bowled leggers at the beginning, and he worked it out that he's perhaps better off bowling little seamers on these greeners.
I think what you just said there sort of epitomises what he's about. You just said he worked it out, and when I played with him at Farnworth, obviously we had quite a number of years. I think whether we had 4 or 5 years, I can't remember, but he just worked everything out. He'd run in and he'd bowling over, and he'd just say, "No, that's not right. I'm going to do this instead." He just worked everything out. Phenomenal cricket brain, and probably one of the best players I've ever played with.
Yeah, Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I can't forget. I mean, for me, Rod Eswick, he was just something else. He was off another planet, I think. I mean, his contribution to West Orton on the field, just literally on the field, you wouldn't move a muscle if you were in that field. I was sometimes stood at the non-striker's end watching him display, and everybody was like on a tender hook. You know, you move there, man. You move there, and like he was very aggressive, but a lovely bloke. And he once said to me, I was charging in it on Edgerton actually, and I kept bowling my heart out at him, and he said, "Taddy, you man, you keep coming at me. You want drugs, you man. You want drugs." But when I used to go in batting, he used to bowl me a bouncer first ball, and he'd come down and look at me and go, "Welcome, man." I loved it.
We've just landed, haven't they? The West Windies have just landed, and they're at Old Trafford. They're all in quarantine in the Hilltop Hilton Hotel on the ground. And funnily enough, I had a text message off Dave Parkey saying, you know, on these interviews, have you thought about getting Rod Eswick on, because best pro I've ever played with or against? So
brilliant.
If we could do, that'd be great, you know. So I might see if I can get in contact with him some way, shape or form.
Yeah, I've got to mention Grant Long. Grant Long, for me, is the long-term one. He's been in the league so long. Such a great batsman, such a great bowler. Fantastic pair of hands.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He catch flies, you know, he's just unbelievable. And I think it's a pity he's not involved in some way in terms of like Bolton League cricket, because he seems to have disappeared. And if he's out there, give us a shout. I rang him last year, you know, when I was doing this charity cricket match.
Yeah.
And I did speak to him, but yeah, it would be great to get him back in. But other people who I've got to mention, not in that way, Paul Raymond. Raymond, I tell you what, when he come over, he had a yard. When he first come over, he had a yard. And not only that, he was scoring runs. I think he's had 10,000 runs, 100 wickets.
Yeah, he had 1,000 runs, 100 wickets for season. He just took 1990. Just took the league by storm. Yeah,
and he sort of had this weird action, didn't he? And I did play with him at Farnworth for that year, you know. But yeah, great bloke, P. Ray, and had many a tussle with him. Yeah, he had that beautiful extra cover drive, didn't he?
Even, you know, even at the back end of his career, when he wasn't as mobile, wasn't as fit, he wasn't bowling, and I played with him at Heaton. He was our skipper, and he got 100 against Fazal at Kersley, and he were unbelievable. You know, we were all frightened to death, running out, you know, backing away, trying to get out, and Paul just mullered him everywhere. Yeah, just a great cricketer, and again, another great cricket mind as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but two others quickly. Yeah. Duncan Worsley. Duncan, back end, early on for me, but his stats and everybody I spoke to were brilliant. Bernard Reedy obviously played at Lancashire, didn't he? But great players there. But so that's in a nutshell. I just quickly on to wicket keepers. I'm going for wicket keepers. I'm going to sort of dismiss the Lancashire lads, which... in terms of Lancashire, like Heggie, Crick, and Mark Walwork, and Chris Scott. You won't remember him.
No.
Chris Scott was Lancashire keeper from Bolton League. I'll tell you a little quick story. I bowled on down leg side as a thin opening bowler. He was stood up to me, went down leg side, hit him straight on head. It was at Farnworth, actually. I'm sure it was at Farnworth. Hit him straight on head, knocked him out, ambulance came on. Anyway, that's how Chris will remember me, unfortunately. Was slipping one down leg side at him, you know.
Well, on the keepers, we'll not ghost over it, but we'll dive into, you know, straight away. Then we'll move on. But we've got a special feature coming up soon on keepers. Slightly different. I'm not going to be hosting. It won't be me. Warren Hegg's going to host it. We've got Crick, we've got JP, we've got Christian Walsh, and myself. So we're gonna do like a special feature on Bolton keepers, and we'll talk about stories and stuff like that. So that's looking forward to that.
Well, you're so blessed with so many good keepers. It's hard to choose from them, you know. But JP's got the victims. they're all different. JP has got the victims in there. I like Tim. His glove work were very good, as Stewie said. And worth mentioning is Blinky.
Definitely.
And people like yourself and Party now, you're still playing, young Partington.
Yeah, Danny. I think I've played a bit longer than Danny, but he's a bit younger than me. But yeah, same thing. Like we just try and carry on playing. But yeah, I think Walshy and JP of 600 plus, and then myself. Ricky Northrop. I forgot Rick.
Ricky,
I think he might be 600, 500. And then I think I got the top 6 sent to me the other day, where obviously JP, myself, Christian Walsh is 600 as well. So yeah, I mean, like you said, and then throw Crick and Warren in there as well, and Tim and Mark, and there's some phenomenal keepers.
Mark Warwick, by the way, was batty. I know wicket keepers are like goalkeepers, but just quickly, he said Mark Warwick once freewheeled from the Edgerton clubhouse to give somebody some gloves. He sawed his bat in half after a duck. And the third thing, when he was playing football, I played football with him in a Sunday match. He actually was goalkeeper. He kicked it outside his box and started to run down the wing with the ball. He is mental, that bloke, but I love him to bits.
Oh, he's a class keeper. Yeah, obviously.
Just the last thing on that, Ricky was in there, Mick Northrop, but because he's different, of course he was a class batsman, weren't he?
Oh yeah,
class batsman, wicket keeper.
Out of all them that we've mentioned, I'd be remiss the best batter, Rick, by a country mile.
Yeah.
Scored thousands of runs and got plenty of victims as well.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So that's our players. So thanks for that. Lastly, I just want to sort of touch on, we talk a lot about the past and past players, which is great because it's our history, and I think everyone should be interested in that. And one of the recent interviews with David Kay, who's a local historian and author, that's a good listen to the people who are interested, and a bit more geeky, a bit more, about the actual game and why Bolton is so prevalent in terms of cricket. But I just wanted you to touch on the current state of play in the Bolton League and current state of play in amateur cricket. I know you're an avid golfer like myself, and I'm actually on my way to play a bit of golf later today. But just touch on the standards of cricket and the players who are still around, and your opinions really.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd listen to David, and it's one of those reminders, if you like, of why Bolton cricket's important. I thought Richard Sutcliffe brought some good points up in terms of comparing, and I agree with him to a certain extent that the coaching now for juniors especially is very, very good. I mean, I didn't have anything like that when we were at a young age, so that's improved. And the grounds. I think there's a model out there. I was captain, obviously, at Edgerton a couple of times, but the model for every club, I think, is around this area. Do you remember Bradshaw? Bradshaw a few years ago. I know they're no longer with us, but they decided to actually, if you like, get the ground right, get the junior setup right. Possibly get the finances right, because that's a part of that makeup.
Yeah.
And then once you get that structure right, you're able to apply for grants, and people will help. A situation which has been run, properly, if you like.
Of course.
So if you get all those things right, you can build a club. And what was really good from the interviews that you've done is to see so much enthusiasm from all these players from different clubs, wanting to improve the club, and I think that was fantastic. I think just moving on, the 2020, I think has been a great success. I mean, everybody should follow the models that are doing obviously well and getting those people in. Just follow the model; it's there for you. You just have to advertise it. I would say also, when I was at Edgerton, we came back and the same people doing the same job. So what I would say out there is to people is ask people, go go to Farnworth, go into the community, and there'll be people that are doing absolutely nothing. Come and join us, be part of a club. You might be an old builder, an old joiner, fix some fences, do some painting. The more people you've got like that, the better you can keep your ground. So, but recruiting is so important. I think the style of cricket now is it's not going to go back to the draws, I don't think. But I think it's about right. The 2020, the longer format of the game.
Yeah.
So I think there's no changes there. I know the people haven't, but management, I think sometimes it's not a bad thing. If you've got a Ray Eccleshire or a Dave Tattersall, who's that in-between person, who you can attract players from other teams, then yeah, I think that's fine as well.
It takes a lot of putting together, and I've cut in there because obviously I'm heavily involved at Farnworth with being first team captain and stuff like that, and I would love to have someone like a Tat or a Rayek to take some of the phone calls and some of the absolutely mad stuff that you have to do, and trying to find players on a Friday night because someone's ducked out or had to work or what have you. So yeah, having someone like that, like a cricket manager is a bit of a term that I'm not a fan of, to be honest. But like you said, someone who's there to lend a helping hand, someone who knows the game. You've mentioned Dave and Ray there. Any club would love to have people like that.
Yeah, I think the paid player situation is an interesting one. I would just say to clubs, if you want to pay somebody, pay them. If you think they're worth it. If they're not worth it, don't pay them. Simple as that. I think it's open now, isn't it?
It is open. It's been open for a lot. I mean, obviously, you can do whatever you want. In terms of paying people, and I think obviously doing what you do for a living as well, the declaration of what you get paid, I think, is where people would potentially get into trouble. But pros are paid, they're contracted, and they come and they do their bit. And I know when I write the contracts for the pros at Farnworth, we make sure that they coach the kids on a Friday night. They're there on a Tuesday. If I could get them pot washing and glass collecting, I would do. But ultimately, you're paying them to do a job. Just turning up Saturday Sunday is not good enough for me. No. There's a bit more to it.
Yeah, well, pros are important, like everybody else has said. Overseas are important to keep the standards up. And if you're actually going to, like I said before, is concentrate on Bolton League. Forget what everybody else has done. Openly encourage and talk to these clubs who have left. Try and get them back in at some particular stage.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, concentrate on the good things that are happening in the Bolton Cricket League.
Yeah.
And I mean, one thing I wanted to say before we finish, but is a sense that when I did last year when I did the charity day. I rang a lot of people who've played in Bolton League cricket, and I think there is something that we can actually do, an association. People who've gone in association with the league, maybe something separate where we can raise funds for Bolton cricket. It needs talking about, but ultimately you'd be surprised how many people there is, like me, like Stewie, like Chalky, like Warwick. Like Martin, I can go on and on and on. And they're not just players, past players, they're actually spectators, people who've been involved with Bolton cricket. So yeah, there may be something there, that something associated with the league can back the league and maybe have a voice on the league committee sometime.
Yeah, why not? I mean, like you said, people who's been there and done it and are in touch at sort of grassroots, ground level, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, we've put together a bit of a slapstick version of that with Mark, Ryan, Mopsy, Johnny Kerrigan, a few of us. We've put this Lash Ups team together, which will be interesting if we can get out and play a bit of cricket, because I think people would want to come and watch that. Something a bit more fun. Raise a few quid for whether it be Little Lever or Darcy Lever, it doesn't matter. Something we can raise some money for people and help people out.
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant, Ian. Thank you very much for your time. It's been great speaking to you. Nice to catch up. Hopefully we can see each other soon. Maybe get a bit of golf in.
Yeah, no problem. No problem with that.
So yeah, that's been Ian Taylor, aka Taddy, Bolton Cricket League legend. Cheers, pal.
Cheers. Bye bye.
See you, mate.